Hello on yet another hot Thursday. Yes, this is our second one, which means we've had 8 consecutive days in the 90s. Watching the clouds, there have been some storms in central Minnesota and some agitated cumulus, to quote the Weather Service from yesterday, because that's the kind of thing we're looking for, is these subtle things in the atmosphere which can spawn some thunderstorms. And I think mostly west central Minnesota, best chance of seeing these pop-up storms again like we've had the last couple of days, just in different spots. I think the metro largely stays dry today. That will change tomorrow, though. The thing that's been lacking in these storms, which has allowed them to pop up quick and die quick, lack of shear. This shows the very light shear, which is winds moving in different directions in the atmosphere or with different speeds, and there's just not much wind, period. But we can see those storms yesterday, 2 boundaries meeting. They were leftover thunderstorm outflows from the night before that converged over Minneapolis, created the storms yesterday, and we had these microbursts. Yeah, a lot of people getting these videos of some crazy wind, at least briefly. Even the airport picked up a 61-mile-an-hour wind gust just before 7 p.m. yesterday. Here's a cool time-lapse view of these storms moving in, and partly what's made them cool is they're so isolated that you have sunshine all around, which creates rainbows and bizarre torrential downpours / wind gusts while the sun is shining. So here's a basic idea of the microburst. You have the rain falling out of the cloud, and as it reaches that dry air underneath the cloud, the rain evaporates some of it, and the rain also cools the air. It plummets to the ground, sort of like a garden hose, moving out in all directions, but it can create some, at least brief, strong wind gusts. They don't usually last very long, but where it hits can be severe, over 60 miles an hour. And one of these microburst impacts, I think, was in Loring Park, Minneapolis yesterday, because I saw this as I was biking just after the storm through there, and you can see all the tops of these tree branches, just those 2 trees, were kind of flattened, and then a lot of branches down in that area. So as that pool of cool air from underneath the storm descends, that initial impact should, in theory, be visible from a couple of those trees or whatever it potentially hit, which I think was a cluster of trees in Loring Park, and then knocked down a lot of branches. But you can see those outflows, all these circular boundaries moving out from the storms. Those are literally the outflow of that storm or storms, and it's just basically like the storm's cool front. You need a few things. We talked about shear, which makes the storms unorganized, so they bubble up and die quickly, kind of literally on top of themselves, but also a very deep boundary or layer from the base of the cloud to the ground. Lots more dry air to evaporate and cool the air. So the air cooled into the 70s underneath those storm clouds, and that's obviously cooler than the 95-degree air, so it plummets to the ground. And the more space, the faster it's going to get. We are on day 8, as I mentioned, consecutive 90s here. The previous record for early season heat wave was 6. So this is the longest heat wave this early. There have been longer ones in July, 14 days consecutive actually, from the 30s. We'll see if we get close to that. And of course, 9 records broken so far in terms of highs and lows. Record highs, as a reminder, way outpacing record lows. The cold snap in February, yeah, didn't break any records here, but already 9 with this current heat wave. So some morning thunderstorms tomorrow. That will largely fizzle out, but we'll watch that area as it moves east through the day to redevelop storms late in the afternoon and evening. That's our best bet of seeing at least some scattered storms. Now, this is not a guaranteed rain for anybody. I know we all need it, but it's going to be hit and miss. That's the nature of these storms tomorrow. This is the North American model and the Canadian models, both painting the rainy picture for some of us, but kind of showing that indication of morning activity to the west, and then the redevelopment of some storms, more organized cells later in the day. We'll have to watch for some potential severe weather with that late afternoon activity. Upper 90s today. Another record is in jeopardy. 99, the record high today. I think we'll be right in the vicinity, upper 90s anyway. And then even tomorrow, low 90s with clouds around. Even without it being sunny completely, we'll still be very warm, still have our 9th 90, and that will tie for the 3rd most 90s on record that we've seen before. Heat bubble largely stays in place though, so I'm sorry, it is not going away anytime soon. Models kind of bickering and differing on maybe after next week. We could see some cooler weather, but no guarantees there.